What does it mean to live together?
On this land.
In this place?
Burnt Thicket Theatre presents
We Treaty People. Audio dramas exploring what it means to embrace all our relations.
Welcome back for our conversation with the artists from last episode.
The Final Inquiry.
My name is Yvette Nolan, and I'm the production dramaturge for We Treaty People.
My name is Stephen Waldschmidt. I'm the artistic director of Burnt Thicket Theatre. Part of my personal journey in recent years has been about learning to see the history of Canada from Indigenous perspectives and unlearning cultural assumptions and practices I've received in my Eurocentric heritage. Of course, this learning and unlearning are ongoing.
As a company, Burnt Thicket is seeking to respond to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action number 83 to support good ways for Indigenous and non-Indigenous artists to collaborate in making theatre that contributes to reconciliation in these lands called Canada.
In our live shows after curtain call, we encourage audiences and artists to engage with each other, with the story, and with their real lives outside the theatre.
Given that these are digital performances, we hope this conversation with the artists will expand your reflection about the play.
We'd like to invite you to learn more. Check out the resources and suggestions in the episode description and our website.
We encourage you to talk about the play with your friends, to chat with us on Facebook, or in our virtual talkbacks on Zoom.
Or by leaving a response on our website. We want to hear what you think. And now, recorded on Treaty 6 territory, we bring you a conversation with the artists from The Final Inquiry.
The first thing that we do just as we begin this conversation is just to go around and introduce ourselves and what our role was in the creation of this wonderful show. So I'll start. I'm Tim Bratton, and I was the sound recording engineer. And we'll go this way.
Ooh. I'm Kris Alvarez, and what do you want me to say?
What was your role?
I played read the part of, what's her name? Alora. I'm doing great, right? Okay, Alora, the mother in this play. I'll pass it to you.
Wow, and it was such a serious play. Now we're all hysterical. I'm Yvette Nolan, and I directed this play, The Final Inquiry.
The other Kris Sandoval, and I played Marli in this wonderful audio play.
I'm Donna-Michelle St. Bernard, and I'm the playwright.
Wonderful. Cool. Well, thank you all. And with that, we'll start with the first question, which has always been, as you encounter the script, and this is a question both for us as those who are creating this, but also for those who are listening, is the question of what surprised you as you read this, heard this for the first time? And is there an image or something that stood out to you from the play?
I'm glad to share a little bit. Like very first read, I stopped and went, "What is happening here?" And then the next morning, I read it again, and I was like, "I think I know what's happening here." And what I mean by that is just, I wasn't expecting to be transported so quickly into a different time, place that felt familiar, but felt like a dream. I don't know why it was like that for me. I mean, there's a few reasons, but partly because I think, I said yes right away when I saw Yvette's name on the ask to do this project, frankly, because relationships are everything.
Yeah.
and I want to continue working with Yvette when I can. And then I met Donna-Michelle, and I was like, whoa. And Kris, and just the words, the words lifted off and were like swimming and giving me this mysterious place where I went, this is so familiar, and it's so like a dream. I think I said it was like, it felt like sci-fi to me when I first read.
Yeah. That's cool.
I was surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm never surprised. But I was not surprised by how dense the text is with so few words. Like Donna-Michelle writes, and this is like all of Donna-Michelle's work, like the words are chosen so carefully. And we just kept working it. Like we worked and worked and worked the text. And even like yesterday in rehearsal, we were finding new things and working new things, which shouldn't be a surprise because I've done some Donna-Michelle before. And also the other thing for me is like how much of an audio play it is. Like Donna actually wrote an audio play because the work that you do, Tim, carries as much weight as the work that we do, the voices and the direction. It is really, really written for this form.
Oh, these are all good points. I'm like, yeah, I agree with all of that. I guess for me, on a personal level, I was surprised just how much I didn't know and how much I did know. And I don't know a lot about certain situations because I like to stay out of it. But you learn a lot from the words that Donna-Michelle writes, and then also related to it a lot. Like the mother and daughter dynamic and how they back and forth to the point where they're at each other's throats. Like that's some tough stuff. And I don't know, I just felt like I got captivated. I got sucked in right away. And there's a line that you can be different for the rest of your life. And we talked about that for a good 20 minutes of just that line and how Kris and I went over kind of our family history. And that line is just painful in a way. Because you come we're theater kids, you know what I mean? It's that line's just it's okay to be different, and that's a hit in the soul. So I don't know, I just felt so captivated by the words, and just, I related to it so much, and there's something beautiful in a sense. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, the efficiency though of the words made me as an actor want to break up the syllables of it, because it's just so like what you're saying, the denseness of the code. And I love sleuthing through it, the number of times, oh right, there it is, little clues left along the trail.
Yeah, and then you see an amount of imagery that makes you think. We've dozed off a little bit, you thought of a rabbit, or I thought about something from childhood. It's just the little things in the play that make you go, huh. You know?
Yeah.
Donna-Michelle's just amazing.
I really think this is a play people will want to listen to at least twice. So I would encourage that. I think it has, part of what struck me the first time through is how much this challenges and opens up space that you have to just push into. You have to lean into. So I look forward to continuing to lean into as I edit the recording we did today, and see what we discover, and what you will finally hear before you hear this interview. So But with that, I'd love to turn and hear Donna-Michelle. Can you tell us a bit of what the inspiration was, or what led you to write in the way that you did in this play?
For sure. For starters, at the time when I got this commission, it's such a specific provocation, but that has everything is available, and in a way that's really difficult to find. What do I have to say to Treaty? I know that I have a relationship to Treaty, but what do I have to speak of? on treaty as someone who's not necessarily, as I think Kris Sandoval just said, like, I think most of us feel not knowledgeable about treaties. But I happened to be reading the book Warrior Life by Dr. Pamela Palmater. And it's like a collection of pieces that have been published in various places in response to various specific incidents and scenarios in different communities. And it was her introduction, in which it felt like weary. It felt like, why do you keep making me say this? And I felt that. And then shortly thereafter, I was reading Jesse Wente's book, Unreconciled. And there's something, I'm not going to butcher the quote, just read the whole book. But there's something in that suggested that the act of writing something down, the act of an inquiry and a report, made it feel like something had been accomplished. And that act in itself was an impediment to something actually being accomplished. And then, what could I possibly even aspire to offer, to attempt to do? And yeah, that's sort of my way in, like, perhaps I could aspire to lift the weariness of having to say it again.
That's great. Thank you. With that, another question here. Curious what people would have to say about what your relationship is to the land and to community. And I think we've already started to talk a bit about the importance of relationship, but maybe in as much as we think about treaty in the context of land, how do you see that? And maybe you're even just reflecting on it in this moment. We welcome your reflection.
Yeah, treaty's difficult for me on all kinds of levels because, like, I'm not from this territory. I'm not from Treaty 6. My mother's people are from Gitaganzi B, which is unceded Algonquin territory in Quebec, but she was never there after residential school, so I'm disconnected from it. But I'm also, so like everyone's like, we talk about being treaty people, and we're treaty people because we all are living on lands that there are agreements about. But the treaties weren't made in a fair way. I think about James Dashik's book, Clearing the Plains. We were here long before someone came and tried to force us off the lands and to make us sign treaties with X's and stuff. So it's treaty's really complicated for me, and then the agreement, the terms of the agreement that were made have not been maintained, and therefore I mean, these are conversations that I keep having as sort of the production dramaturge over and over again with everybody about what this project means, what it means to be we treaty people. And I think one of the things that Donna got at in this piece is like the promise to listen better, right? And all of the work that Burnt Thicket has done to make all of the resources visible and available to people who listen to the audio plays, who can then go and read other things or look at other things and educate themselves. Because I think we have to educate ourselves beyond the idea of treaty. Because I'm weary too, like Dr. Palmater.
That makes me think, Yvette, of all the things that are carved into schools and churches and courthouses, and how much space there is available to, like, just publicly put up what are our treaty obligations, just somewhere like City Hall, wherever you want, honestly. But the idea that it's not incidental that we don't know what's in those documents. Like, there is certainly an element of, like, go read, but also it is not considered intrinsic to our civic duty, right? Civic duty that's a concept. It contains things like don't break the law and, pick up your garbage. So why isn't that folded into it? Or why aren't the principles of if the institutions aren't going to take it upon themselves to fulfill the obligation, make that information available to us so that we can take it upon ourselves should we choose. Just spitballing here.
Yeah. Well, but Donna-Michelle, that makes me think of the vital line that's in there of like, well, this is not a spoiler because everyone will have heard this, but how did this happen? Well, and the answer, it's on purpose. So it's what you just said. It's not an accidental forgetting or an accidental loss of knowledge. It's forgetting can't just be seen as an accident, and therefore, to some degree, remembering has to be on purpose, I guess.
Yeah.
When it comes to this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, exactly.
Yeah. That's deep. You have a deep play that has pushed us into deep water.
That's why it's all that ocean sounds.
The
All
ocean.
the bottom of the ocean sounds in there. It's that deep.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, and it's really interesting when you start to, for lack of a better word, remember, and you're just like, right, I'm remembering, and I'm remembering something, like me, I'm speaking from my growing up in Treaty 4, Regina, immigrant kid from the Philippines, you know, feeling so detached from my Filipino culture for many different reasons, including self-preservation on a playground as a kid and wanting to blend in, and my parents kind of doing the same thing in order to get jobs and do whatever they had to do. And that armor and that shell that's now being I've been peeling off layers for a while. It's painful. It's so many fine layers of things when it comes to the remembering. And then for me as an immigrant kid who grew up here, starting to really see like, wow, I was so separated by systems to like the at that time native kids, when, you know, and just this and coming to get to know people as an adult, like actually having only developed relationships with Indigenous friends as an adult in Regina is incredulous to me that that's what it took so long. And so that on purpose, it just echoes hard in my bones. Yeah, like it's not, there's a reason these things are set up the way they are, right? I'm using hand gestures for this audio, but you know, you know what I mean. Yeah.
I think there's something connected to that from what you just said that makes me think of something from my childhood that relates then also again to things being said but nothing done. So I went to an elementary school that was named after a band. So it was the Kahiwan Elementary School, which was, like, I mean, I can say now, it was very token, because it had, I can remember one Indigenous child that I knew, one First Nation child I knew as a kid. Otherwise, it was totally disconnected from the reality of that relationship. And same as you, it's like only as an adult do I now have relationship and knowledge. And that was on purpose, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And that's part of the undoing now that has to happen for us. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a Filipina elder that I met a while ago before the pandemic, and when I asked about this, like this remembering, like how do I, when it comes to language, when it comes to like, actually making good relationships with people who are the original people here, who their ancestors are, and trying to cultivate it with my parents, like remember your indigeneity back in the Philippines. Actually, it takes a while, and she just kept saying, just keep asking the questions, keep asking questions. Because my mom will, like, when I ask questions about home culture, it's like, I don't remember, I don't know, it's too long ago. But then this elder was like, just keep asking, because slowly people remember as they keep being asked to recall. I think it's like so sad, this in terms of this play that Donna-Michelle's created, it's so heartbreaking, the truth, but then it's a relief. There's some type of balm to it for me, because it's like, right, because we're all feeling it for many years. in terms of witnessing or seeing things happening. So there's something about it that's also soothing to me, to hear it out loud.
Right.
Loud.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you feel that you should be doing or could be doing more to create greater connection to this place that we now share, to this land, and to the community that is here? What does that look like for you? What are the things you hope for, that you're wanting to do more? What's the hope for you of leaning into the new possibility, which maybe, and I certainly feel this, sometimes a disruptive truth, as we experience in this play, opens up new possibility. And even if that's hard, it is a good thing. There is relief in that. So what are your hopes for the possibility of connection to this place and to the communities that are here?
Well, for me, it always comes back to these kinds of projects, to the art, because I think that is how we move forward. We have to actually be working together, which requires generosity and humility and courage, and it's hard work, this kind of work. But I think it's important that we're not just in our little silos, right? That I'm not just in a singular community, but actually belong to a number of communities, and those communities always bringing them together in this kind of work, because that's how we make change. You know, if I could do reconciliation by myself, then it would be done. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Have you tried, though? Might be worth it.
Yeah. I don't know what you feel about this, Kris. Like I in this part of my life and my practice, I feel like I'm getting afforded a lot of privileges to do work, and people asking, organizations asking, and I'm hypersensitive about it's because I'm a person of color and I'm that friendly, palpable brown person who can bridge them to the indigenous person they're too scared to ask about or something, which, being frank here, like, you know, it's tricky. It's a tricky tightrope, and I try my best right now every time I'm given this privilege to use my voice or whatever. I try to leverage it to bring in someone else. That's kind of my strategy right now. Someone else who isn't being asked because, for whatever reason. And I'm speaking primarily to Indigenous. Yeah, like, it's work like this. I just want to be able to serve work in a metaphor, in art. I find it really powerful. And I just really hope that, yeah, anyone who listens, who isn't able to, for whatever reason, cross their yard to go have a coffee with someone who doesn't look like them, yeah, I'm just so interested in how to nudge those people a little bit more, you know? Yeah.
I think for myself, I'm such a scared little girl. I always say that. I'm on the young side. For me, I'm a very open and honest person, and I will say I tend to be more on the ignorant side, or the oblivious side, if you will, because I tend to just block all those out. And it's projects like this that I love, just because I get to learn more, because I didn't as a kid, I guess. So yeah, I think it's just being more involved and actually saying hi to someone, kind of like that. Yeah. I am a person of color, obviously. That's dope, by the way. But yeah, it's just, I was the biggest loner ever. And I don't know, I just stayed away from people. And I'm the loudest human on earth, and I talk so much. But I think for me, what I need to work on is just, I need to educate myself, and that's why I love opportunities like this, to learn, because I'm that happened. Because in my household, this would never be a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's be less ignorant and listen better, to quote my character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what I said.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think right now I'm thinking about like consistent application of principles and consistent pursuit of justice. Like I'm thinking about displacement and understanding the who bears the cost of my comforts and what I contribute. And then, like, I guess further back, thinking about people who say they're here for freedom and then at whose expense that was taken, and then onto whom that benefit and profit was passed. I'm saying very obvious things to you, but what I mean is, in light of all of that, to just constantly consider what has been displaced to make space for me. And if something is not costly to me, like, don't allow myself to not look at where that cost fell. So vague, and yet that's exactly what I mean.
I would just add, in terms of my perspective with this, and my hope is part of what I'm trying to do as I lean into these things is to be okay with being wrong and making mistakes.
Yeah.
Because I will prove my ignorance, and I will make mistakes, and it's worth it if it pushes through to something better. And it is hard at times to be okay with your ignorance and your mistakes. But if you are able to kind of push through and admit when you're wrong and recognize when you said something stupid or done something that's hurt someone, then my experience thus far has been one of great grace and help extended to me. And that's, I hope, an encouragement to anyone listening to this who has kind of stood back or stayed out of it, or however they frame it, because they're afraid to engage hard conversations or to lean into those things that can seem scary, and to admit that we have fear around this, whether it's justified or not, but that it's worth leaning into and moving past that for not only our own sake, but for everyone's.
Yeah. I get worried. What keeps me up at night is the people that aren't leaning in because they just don't care. For whatever reason. I'm not saying like, and I'm not trying to vilify those people, although some of them probably are. Yeah, I really grapple with that. Like, just, if you're cloistered in a suburb and you're in your house and you don't go out and you don't, like, and you're just online, like, how do you, I don't know, I guess there's a part of me that always wants to help nudge those people, but I'm always like, nah, screw it. Nah, there's better things to do, or there's more, like, right now that's where I'm at, I think, in my work, using my art practice in this meaningful way. It's like, what's the priority list here of, like, the fires to put out, the battles to try to help out with. Yeah. And I find that part really overwhelming right now. Sure. You know, like with missing and murdered Indigenous people. Like, I started reading that report and tried to start a group of friends to read it with me, and it's just, yeah, it's hard, right? It's hard to, where do you fit that in? And then you've got all the other things of life, and then, yeah, pay bills. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think about that at night. Those people that were the words that DM uses of on purpose, where it really sticks to the ribs, and like, it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah.
Something that you said, Alvarez, about hearing it aloud, and I apologize, this is a homonym, so shallow, but it made me think about aloud. It's just been knocking around in my head about what my face does when I hear that word allow in a land acknowledgement. Like, want to thank these people for allowing us to live, work, and play here. And I think that, like, a small hopeful thing to do is not be a part of retelling the lie. So, like, don't just pick up things that are being said and re-say them, but, like, are these words true for you? Has someone allowed you, indeed, to be here? And, like, you know, just to consider all of those kinds of engagement meaningful, and, like, by not being another place where that fire is set. I mean, not one of us has to fix everything.
Yeah, and it's like the crow and the pebbles in the glass, right? Like, it's we don't know when we've dropped enough in for the water to overflow. I know that's a weird metaphor, but that's what I keep thinking about, right? We don't know the consequences of our actions. We don't know what pebble it is that's going to turn the tide. Okay, I'm mixing metaphors now, but you guys all know what I mean.
That's like, a big jar.
Everything matters. If we behave as everything
matters, Yvette.
Everything matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then eventually, and it's not like my everything matters, but my everything plus Kris's everything plus Kris's everything plus Tim's everything plus yours plus Brooklyn, who's over there pretending they're not in the room. All of those things that matter together may eventually matter.
Actually matter.
Yeah. That's a great, thank you for that reminder, Yvette, because I think that's what I'm craving. I need to be around. That's why I said yes to the project. Like, yes, I can be around people who are trying to, because sometimes you're in your own little tool shed, like, hey, what the heck, is anyone else doing this? So it is.
That's just me as a human. I'm always in my little bubble, and then Stephen sends an email, and I don't know half of the cast list or half of you guys. I know Tim, I know Yvette, because I worked with them, and I was in an audio play last year, and I'm always like, I told Stephen the last day of rap, I'm like, if you ever need me for anything, just let me know. And boom, just got that email. I'm like, I'm in.
Well, now I have to listen to last year's audio plays again, because I wouldn't have known that you were you.
I heard you. I was in an audio play last year, guys. Really good show. Go check them out. Tied in knots. Anyways, just go listen to all those too.
I remember that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll go find you.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like being like stuck in my little bubble. So I love always opportunities when I get to like meet new people and just learn new things. I'm a big learner. I love to know. I'm such a workhorse, if you will. I'm so focused on other things that I don't make enough time for myself to actually educate myself and break out of the shell that I have. So I'm always grateful.
Yeah.
But maybe that's part of the stones that we drop in, is the way we reach out, the people we choose to reach out. I know.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about like the people you choose to bring along. And you can't bring along everybody, and you can't do everything, but I can be the bridge here. I can at least have this conversation or welcome this person to the table.
Yeah.
And so much of this, I think maybe this comes back to the question of community and what it means, is like the intentionality of making those relationships. And I know that's been...
And offering generative spaces, because like the story I came into this room with is not the story that folks are hearing. Right? The story I came in with was developed from the like insight and the good questions of the folks in the room.
Yeah.
So like gathering good people to make the thinking bigger.
Yeah.
It's a part of it. More makes more.
Yeah.
That said, I really appreciate all of everyone's contributions to the work.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, what you just said there, both of you, it makes me think of, I've been saying in the last literally couple of weeks, actually, basically. So inside joke for the audience. Footnote. I've been toying with because I really can't stand making bios and artist statements. So I really want to describe myself as I'm the mom. I'm the mom with that kerchief on, and she's got the big station wagon with the wood panel. And so when I drive by you, I'm like, we're going to the pool. You want to come to the pool? Yeah, there's lots of room. Just get in the back. There's no seatbelts. It's okay. I feel like that's part of my practice.
Yeah.
There's snacks back there. Just eat whatever's back there.
Yeah.
So, that's for me, that's community building. I'm like, I'm going. Do you want to come? There's lots of room in the back of the car here. But
I'm a little concerned about the no seatbelt.
I'm a 70s kid, yeah. Like,
I cannot
I
hold
laid
it.
in the back of so many station wagons on trips.
Ah, man, neighbor kids got to bring their own seatbelts. They know.
Because I mean, there's where's there's risk to making new community, right? Just like making art. And I wonder about that. I feel like right now there's like this curation I'm feeling from certain powers where it's like, yes, let's do something more, let's make better relationships, but let's keep it really sanitized. I'm like, where's the risk?
Let's do something radical, like clean radical.
Yeah, really tidy though. Like keep it tidy. Yeah. It's like a potluck when people are like, let's have a potluck. Okay, what are you bringing? And I'm like, wait, no, I don't want to know what you're bringing.
Yeah, don't tell me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. This is great.
I feel like we can talk for hours.
Yeah.
I just love this.
I think all the questions have a bit, even the ones that weren't asked formally, have been touched upon.
Good.
That's kind of what we do here.
Yeah.
Go around touching things.
But does I want to be respectful of time, and I just want to invite, does anybody have, of what's been said, there's something burning in your heart that's still needed to come into the room?
Yeah, for me, it's about educating yourself. It's about, I'm talking to the microphone here, it's about, it doesn't have to be, like, there's so much material out there, and it's not all Dr. Prometer, right? It's also Thomas King, it's also Drew Hayden Taylor, it's also 1491s. Like, there's so much material that, and in so many forms, that you don't have to be scared of it. It doesn't have to be heavy. You can break it up.
Yeah.
And
there are graphic novels you can get.
there are graphic
Exactly.
novels.
Yeah.
There are,
The
like,
world doesn't have to be a scary place.
yeah. So it's like, I want,
Like, you know-
everybody to go and find their way into the other things that go along with this story.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like this whole idea of silos. I just like to know from the other offerings that have happened and conversations.
Yep.
Are you hearing some similar wishes, ideas? Is it?
Yeah. I've been gifted that I've been able to sit in on all of these conversations.
That's what I mean.
And there is at once a diversity of kind of thoughts every single conversation we have is worth having again because new things pop into the room.
Yeah.
And you get these, especially the individual stories, like even what's been shared here is unique to each of you. But in terms of the themes, I think, this is my perspective, doing this quickly on the fly. Like one facet is the possibilities of something new happening, is the best way I can put it. So what is the new, and again, this is my words kind of trying to distill, is like, what new horizons are opening? So the ways in which these conversations have been looking to those new horizons, and how the plays themselves have created that possibility for people. And then to affirm also just what has been experienced in these conversations is what Yvette has already touched on. It's just that there's a lot of great new relationships that we got to have new conversations with new friends, and that is the work of reconciliation in and of itself. That's worth doing. And if we do nothing else except do that great work together and bear witness to it and be the example that a few people can see and go, oh, you can do it, and it could be messy and beautiful and And hey, like, I mean, just selfishly, it's like, man, I've got a lot of new artists I didn't know before because friends brought others along.
Right.
And to experience that has been wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. It's a gift to me, and I hope it's been a gift to everyone who's participated in this project. So that would be a few things.
Yeah.
I'm
just, it'll be neat to hear. I'll ask you and Stephen later, because I wonder how it insinuates into your nervous system and your, your bones and your skin. Like, it must. Yeah. You're in these. That's really lucky. It's great.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate
awesome.
to have been part of all these. Well, that seems like a good place to say thank you to all of you, unless there's something else.
You know what? I will just add one quick thought.
Sure.
Yeah.
Since the final inquiry hasn't actually happened as of today's recording date, I would say that it's worth considering that no one is stopping you, whoever you are, from making a personal promise or a commitment to whomever you want, even if your mom doesn't make you. Go right ahead and do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Donna-Michelle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks to everyone here.
We Treaty People is a production of Burnt Thicket Theatre.
Support our work with a donation and learn more about the artists at burntthicket.com.
And to check out our website or the episode description for links to other great learning resources.
Special thanks go to the Canada Council for making this project possible.
And to our season sponsors, Surecom Industries and SK Arts. This work was gratefully created on Treaty 6 territory and on the homeland of the Métis.
Join us next time for another audio drama episode of We Treaty People.